Hello and welcome back. In the previous class we talked about booleans and comparison operators. In this class we're going to build up on that. We'll talk about if and else statement. Quickly I'll create a file. I'll call this if under else.js. It's opened. What do we use? I'll start with the if statement. What do we use the if statement for? If statements are used to run conditions on JavaScript. How do I mean by that, or what do I mean by that? I'll quickly explain. If some condition code, what is this? If it will check some conditions to see if it is true or false. If the condition is true, it's the code that we write here will run. Otherwise, if it is false, the code is not going to run. In this previous class, we looked at the age to be eligible to vote. We will build up on that, but this if statement is used everywhere. For instance, if you want to log into Facebook, you have to put in your username. For authentication to be done, it has to be checked on the server if the username you have given is, or it tallies with some username in the server. If it does not tally, that is when you get an error shown, username not found, or whatever they will give you there. So you can see that this is used in almost everything. You want to shop for something and you've printed, you want to check out if the money in your account is equal or it's enough, this will be done. Otherwise, the other thing will be done. So that is what the if statement is about. Building up from what we talked about, let's say the eligibility age, forgive me, or simply eligible age. We know it is 20, but this person is 25. We will say if some condition, eligible age is equal to 18. Remember, that is the age to check. That is the age to check, and the person will be eligible to vote. Console.log, you are eligible to vote. I'll comment this out because we don't need this. That means the person's age is 25 and we want to compare if the age is equal to 18. Now in this case, we will definitely get an error here because, okay, let's just run and see and I'll explain. Node if underscore else.js. Nothing is printed on the screen. Why is it so? Because this is false. It will skip it, nothing will be printed. What happens now is this. Okay, let's console.log here so we see that end of if statement. We run again. End of if statement. That means this wasn't printed. What has happened is that this was checked. 25 is 25 equal to 18? Wrong. This is skipped and this is printed. So let us replace this with 18. You are eligible to vote. But remember, we want the age to be 18 or above. That means we have to replace this with, if the eligible age is greater than or equal to 18, because 18 is also part of the age, this should be printed. We run this, you see, you are eligible to vote. That is then the end of the if statement. In other words, if this is not okay, if this returns to false, we can skip that, or we can also write another program using the else now. That means if this does not happen, this should happen. Else, we console.log you are not eligible to vote. Let's save this and we run. You see you are eligible to vote. But what we can see now is that because it is 18. Let's change this to 12 and we save. You see, you are not eligible to vote gets printed on the screen. I'll give us a moment. What do we do now? I would want us to modify this. You are not eligible to vote, comma, come back in. Okay, what I want us to do is we have to print out the age that is left. Let's say the person is 12 years from what we've indicated there and is 18. The eligible age is 18. I want us to print come back in 6 years because the person is 12. In the next 6 years, the person will be 18 years. So think about it and how would you write the code so that it will print you are not eligible to vote, come back in 6 years. So take a moment. Let me modify this because the eligible age is 18. So I should modify this that because we're trying to get the age of the person. I held Control and I clicked on both sides to edit both of them at once. The age is 12. If the age is greater than or equal to the eligible age, we can modify this for later, but let's leave it as it is now. How would you do this? So it will print you are not eligible to vote, come back in so and so years. Take a moment and look at it. You can pause the video now. All right, welcome back. I believe you took your time to do that, but if you didn't do it, let me create more room for myself so I can show you what I am doing. Come back in. We're going to write some logic here, not necessarily a logic. We'll just do some calculation that will subtract 18 from the present age, which means come back in. We concatenate. I'll open and close a parenthesis. I'll put 18 minus the age of the person, which is based on the input given by the user. And then I will continue here. I'll concatenate as well. Plus, yes, let's space this out so we get something nice. And here as well. Okay, let's save and run, see what happens. Node space if underscore else dot js. Okay, we can see you are not eligible to vote, come back in 6 years time. The person is 10 and is coming to vote. Let's see what happens. We change to 10, save, run again. You are not eligible to vote, come back in 8 years time. The person is 20 years. We save and we run. You are eligible to vote. What has happened is that this one has been printed, so we don't need this. The person is 2 years old. Let's see if someone who is 2 years old wants to vote, and the person is 2 years old, and we run this. You are not eligible to vote, come back in 16 years time. You can see the person has a long way to go. So that is what conditional statement is about. I was talking about email addresses. Let's take, for instance, the email that is stored on a server is caleb@gmail.com, and there are lots of other emails there, but specifically let's use this as an example. And then a user is asked to input email. Let's input email be equal to whatever the user will provide here. So we want to check if the email that has been given by the user is equal to, because probably we want something that is case sensitive. So let us say if the email that is given by the user is equal to this, we should print welcome Caleb, else we should print please check and try again. Okay, let's comment this out so this doesn't print again. I'll save and I run. Now there is no email printed, so you see, please check and try again. Let's give in the correct email. When we go further, we're going to talk about, you can see welcome Caleb has been printed. Okay, as I was saying, when we go further, we're going to talk about how we can check whether this is capital letter and we convert all of them to small letter. When we talk about string manipulation, that in such a case, if we give something like capital C here and we use small c, in this case we're still going to get an error. But when we talk about string manipulation, we can see how we can convert this so that whether you give capital letter or small letter is still going to run. But let's leave it as it is now. You can understand what I'm saying. Let's say we make a mistake here, we use double B and we run this. Please check and try again. You're not seeing, I'll clear my screen. Run again. Sorry. Please check and try again. There is a wide range of what we can use the if-else statement for. So there are a lot of things we can do with the if and else statements, which I will explain in the next section because I think this video is getting rather too long. So see you in the next section.